So today marks roughly the 2-year anniversary since I packed up my life in New Zealand and moved to Dubai to live and work. And I thought this was a good time to make this video and kind of reflect on my thoughts after 2 years, what I really think of the place, what's my experience been like. I think that might be helpful for a lot of you who are interested in moving there and want to know how good it is really, because they make it out to be this entrepreneur's paradise. Some people say it's awful. I want to give you my actual thoughts and my experience. So this video is going to be split up into 2 parts. Firstly, I'm going to run through some very quick pros and cons. That'll give you a better explanation of what it's actually like living there, what I liked about it and what I didn't. At the end of it, I know for many of you watching this, you're thinking like, do I actually want to move there? Is this something that I should do or could do? And so at the end of the video, I'll do a section on who I believe should move to Dubai and who I believe shouldn't and should stay away from it. So let's get into a little bit of context on me first. This video might reach some people outside of my core audience. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Ottley. I'm a 24-year-old entrepreneur. I've been doing online business for the past 5 to 6 years. And the last 18 months or so, it's been focused on building AI businesses and based out of Dubai as well. I was born and raised in New Zealand. And then 2 years ago, August 2022, I moved to Dubai with the goals of moving from a small place like New Zealand, where I was felt like I was becoming a big fish in a small pond, or could easily see myself becoming that and getting complacent. And I wanted to move to a place that was bigger, that would make me feel small again and force me to grow, meet new people. Also to be more central geographically. If you know where New Zealand is, and you can point it out on a map, we're right down the bottom. And so it's like a 17-hour flight to anywhere you really want to go. It's like 24 hours total flight time to go anywhere in Europe. So I like to travel to Europe a lot. I'm in Serbia right now on my own for a few weeks up in the mountains. And for me, I wanted to be a little bit more centrally located in the world rather than being in New Zealand as well. And of course, there's tax benefits as well. So for me, in the stage that I was with my businesses, having that extra money that was able to go into my pockets to pay rent or to fund the business, we could keep pouring all of our money and reinvesting in the business rather than paying 30 or 40% to the government, was really key in the growth of the businesses that I've experienced over the past 2 years. So that's a little bit about me. I think the core value of this video is really that I'm just a normal person like many of you watching this, and I chose to drop everything and move my life over to Dubai. And I actually live there. Many people who go to Dubai, they set up their residency, they get some of the tax benefits, and they pop in for a week or 2 here and there, or maybe a month at a time, but they don't actually base themselves there and make that their home. And so I've made Dubai my home over the past 2 years. I've had an apartment there throughout the whole thing. I've bought a car there. I've got a cat there. My entire life was based there. So what I'm about to share with you, these pros and cons, are from actually living there for months at a time and being forced to work and live and actually become part of the place. So getting into the pros and the good things about Dubai, I'm going to make these pretty quick and just read off here because it's going to be a lot faster for you. Firstly, the weather is excellent from, I'd say, October to March. That's when a lot of people start going back. All my friends will go to Europe over the summer because it's way too hot in Dubai. It's like 40 degrees every day. And then they'll come back for October, November, December, January, February, March, etc. That's really perfect weather. And if you're from a cold country, it will change your life by moving to Dubai, but purely based on the weather, because it's just like great, hot, dry. You can go outside, go to cafes, work outside, go to beaches, etc. So weather is excellent, and that was definitely a big plus for moving there. Secondly, we have efficiency and convenience. So for me coming from New Zealand, I don't have access to Amazon Prime. When I got to Dubai, my mind was blown when I realized I could order anything basically, and it would arrive at my door within 12 hours. So Dubai and Amazon Prime is extremely efficient as an entrepreneur. You don't have to go out shopping. Everything would just be able to deliver right to my door within a couple hours, basically. Similarly to that, Dubai has an app called Careem, and Careem is like the everything app for Dubai. It has taxis, groceries, pharmacy, ordering food like Uber Eats. It has you can deliver something. I can call someone to drop something off across the other side of the city. Like, here's my friend's charger, go take it to him. It's really convenient that everything can basically be taken to your door. And that's a special thing about Dubai, because you need a certain size of city for that to be economically viable. And I have really benefited and enjoyed having the access to all of that stuff at my door. Number 4, which might be a little bit of a surprise to you, is focus. Dubai is actually very conducive to productivity for me. I got a lot done in the blocks that if I would do like 1 or 2 months there, I would like drop drinking, I would really lock in. I didn't have as many distractions as I would anywhere else. And so I was able to get up at 6:30 a.m., work until 10:30, 11 p.m. at night every day for weeks on end. And that led to an enormous explosion of growth in my career, my YouTube channel, and everything you've kind of seen me doing here. Number 5, motivation. Depending on the kind of person you are, seeing wealth everywhere can be motivating. And for me, I'd be lying in bed at night in my first apartment, which was kind of a bit out of the city, and I would hear on the highway, I'd hear like a Lamborghini Huracan V10 engines. You can like hear the distinct sound of it, and you can hear them ripping up and down the highway. And it was kind of like, wealth is really in your face. And I guess that was part of the reason I moved to Dubai, was to feel like a small fish in a big pond again. Number 6 is safety. Dubai in the UAE, it's one of the safest places in the world. It's basically the only place in the world where I can wear my watches or I can wear jewelry and not worry about getting robbed. And you kind of take that for granted. You realize that it's, whenever you go anywhere else, Dubai is just like an unreasonably safe place. And I mean, it's very good for women as well. When my ex-girlfriend was living with me, she could go to Pilates or whatever, and I didn't have to worry about where she was. If she was safe, I knew that she'd be okay. Number 7 is networking. Yes, Dubai may attract some strange characters and people you probably wouldn't want to associate with, but I mean, I moved to Dubai and I think I'm a good person. I try to be a good person in everything I do. So therefore, other people must come as well, just by law of numbers. So that's what I did find. There are some very high level businessmen and people that you can make friends with, depending on your circles and the networks you get into, who can be great friends and great mentors and people that you want in your life as well. So there is a huge potential for networking, as it is such a global hub, because there's people coming in all the time from the States, from Europe, on their way through to Bali, etc. People come to Dubai a lot as a stopover. And finally, number 8 is strict drug laws in the UAE. So you cannot get anything there. If you are caught with anything, you're going to jail for a long time. And I think that's good for anyone really going there. If you want an environment that's conducive to focus and you don't need to have discipline to say no to certain like recreational drugs, Dubai is a great place to be, because you don't even have the option. Well, you do, you probably could, like I've never tried, but I assume you can get it. But if you do, you're going to get like put in jail for 10, 20 years. And that's not what I'm trying to do. So now getting into some cons. Firstly, the dating scene. I found the dating environment to be not great. If you look at the numbers, there's actually 70% of the population is male and 30% is female. So lads, if you're thinking of moving, just know that you're walking into a sausage fest is probably what they'd call it. But there's a lot of competition for a select group of women that live there. And I found that just like the certain types of people that Dubai attracts in men, Dubai also attracts a certain type of woman as well. So I found that when I was going on dates, they would be kind of trying to get something out of me, and coming from New Zealand, it was just a complete shock to the system. And I'd never really found anyone that I'd want to date for long term there. So if you're looking for love, Dubai is probably not the place. Number 2 is the lack of community. So you don't really have a strong sense of community. Just for me here, being in Serbia at the moment, everyone around here, all their kids are playing together, everyone knows each other, they're all like going to dinner with each other. There's a sense of community here, and in many places around the world, many even large cities, you still have a sense of community where you have your little group of people. I found in Dubai there was really none of that, and I've identified that as something that's really been missing from my life over the past 2 years, and something I'm looking to get back in the near future. So I just know that you're going to feel very isolated if you're not careful, and if you don't find a good group of friends. Number 3 is the lack of nature. Of course, Dubai is built in the middle of a desert. There's not much greenery, and if it is, it's artificially watered grass. For me, coming from New Zealand, nature is a big part of me, and that's why I've kind of come to Serbia at the moment to reconnect with nature after being in Dubai. So if you are a person that gets a lot of energy out of being in nature, Dubai is probably not for you, and it has been a deal breaker for a lot of people. Even my business partner said, no, I'm not doing Dubai anymore. It doesn't have enough nature for me. I need somewhere that's a bit more green and a bit fresher air. The air quality is terrible in Dubai as well, which is terrible for your skin and for your health in general. So that's why I think you shouldn't be there for too long. Number 4 is strict law enforcement. On the other side of that, strict drug laws, which I think is a positive. On the other side, you also have extremely strict police. And for me, coming from New Zealand, the police there, I thought they were scary until I met Dubai police. And I had a couple of run-ins with like traffic incidents. And these guys do not like you. They are not your friend. They are kind of coming to get you to some degree. And for me, that was very scary, knowing that I was like one mistake away from getting put in jail, and that I wouldn't really have my case heard. And it felt very, very risky, even though I wasn't doing anything wrong. I felt like if I slipped up once, I'd be in a whole lot of trouble and could be in prison before I know it. Number 5 is the lack of actually rejuvenating leisure. I feel like we go out on the weekends and we go do leisure activities to feel recharged and blow off steam. Myself and my friends found that in Dubai, you spend a lot of money, but you don't actually get much back from that. So there's nightclubs, there's bars and stuff. It's nice, but for me, having traveled to a lot of different countries, I could really tell that the leisure in Dubai didn't really give me any kind of recharge feeling. Number 6 is the poor business infrastructure in Dubai. Now this might be surprising for you, thinking that it's like this global hub and it's like the place to be, and like business should be super good and easy to run. No, they're getting bank accounts for your business, getting accountants, getting legal counsel, bookkeeping, any kind of taking payments via Stripe. All this sort of stuff is really difficult to do in Dubai. There's like back doors, there's people you got to know. It's hard to get applications. And generally, the government steps in and controls a lot of these facilities so that they have, more control over things. For example, they don't let you use TransferWise or Wise. They make you use Wio or their own version instead, and it's just garbage. So you have inferior services because it's not a free market, because the government steps in. So that's one of the reasons I'm looking to base my business elsewhere, because it's so hard dealing with some of these companies. Number 7 is the high cost of living. Everything in Dubai when you're there and living is 20, 30, maybe 40% more expensive than anywhere else. Your food, groceries, fuel fuel's quite cheap because they've got oil in the UAE. But for example, I'd have to pay 20 dirhams a lot of the time for an Americano or a double espresso. 20 dirhams is 10 New Zealand dollars, which is about six US dollars. And for me, paying $6 for a coffee is bloody ridiculous, but you do get over it eventually. And really, Dubai, while it makes itself out to be tax-free, well, now it has a 9% corporate tax you need to worry about. You also have to spend, like everywhere I travel, I have to use my credit card, and that's got a 5% transaction fee on it because I can't use TransferWise when I'm traveling. So I'm paying 5% on everything I spend on my credit card. It's also VAT in the UAE. There's a bunch of fees that you have to pay every year. So it's not actually as tax-free as you think it is. And again, that's something that's making me reconsider whether or not I want to stay there. Number 8 is one that I'm having to come to terms with recently, and that is your reputation and the impact that being based in Dubai has on your reputation. So as a online figure now, being a YouTuber, I never thought I'd be on YouTube, by the way. Like, this is only a fairly recent thing within the last year and a half or 2 years. So for me, being an online personality, a figure, whatever it is, now by having Dubai associated with me, people assume a lot of negative things. I get comments of people saying like, oh, just another Dubai guy. And I'm just like, dude, I just live there, man. But like, you have to understand that you get a negative association by the place. People don't like it. They think it's like terrible for society. It's the worst place in the world. So you get associated with those negative things. And for a businessman, that's something that I've been having to factor. Like, is it really worth the negative impact that's having on my personal brand and how people think of me without knowing anything about me? And also on the flip side of that, you have to consider the dating world. If you're considering finding love in this life, which I'd say you are, being associated with Dubai, to some degree, at least from my experience of dating females, is that when they see that you're from Dubai, they one of two reactions. One, they'll go, well, like, I don't want to be associated with that guy. He's from Dubai, or he's based in Dubai. And the other one's like, oh, he's from Dubai. Like, the good girls are the ones who say like, I don't want a part of that. And those are the ones you probably want to go on dates with and have long-term relationships or potentially marry. And the ones who say, oh, that's interesting, are the ones you wouldn't want to marry long-term. So you are at risk of scaring away certain people from your life, whether that's women or people you're trying to date, or whether that's business partners who are like, oh, I don't really like that. I call it using the wrong bait to catch the wrong fish. So the bait that you're putting out is, I'm this Dubai person. What kind of fish is going to come and bite on that, basically? And it's probably not going to be the best fish in the sea at any point. So that's a really interesting one I've had to come to grips with recently. Number 9 is isolation. I was pretty isolated for a while there, in my first year particularly. So if you don't come with a support network or you don't have people that you can meet there, it can be quite isolating, and that can be a good thing for personal growth, having to be with yourself long enough. And that's all for the pros and cons. What you've been waiting for is whether or not you should move to Dubai. So I've got a few different types of people who I think, based off my experience, I would actually recommend to move there or consider it. So firstly, entrepreneurs from small countries like New Zealand who are looking for a challenging environment to grow their business and really develop personally. So I moved at 22, it was great for me, and I had to go through a lot to get here, but I made it through and I'm better for it. Secondly, individuals who are making substantial income, e.g. $50,000 or more per month, who can actually benefit from the tax savings. Thirdly, young professionals who are willing to sacrifice community and a vibrant life for their career progression, because that's basically what I've had to do by moving there and sitting there and working all day and not having community and not having nature. Like, you have to sacrifice a lot, but you will get some good things out of it if you play it right. And number 4 is those who have friends or a support network in Dubai that can mitigate those feelings of isolation. And on the flip side of that, I wouldn't recommend you moving to Dubai if you are an individual from a large country with ample business opportunities locally, e.g. the United States. Secondly, those who have trouble adhering to strict laws and regulations. So if you are a loose cannon, you're going to end up in jail. So don't come to Dubai if you can't control yourself. Number 3 is people who struggle to control their spending. As I mentioned, it's very expensive in Dubai, and if you're not careful, you can end up digging a big hole for yourself financially. Number 4, entrepreneurs who are not making significant income, kind of the inverse of what I said before. The cost and effort to relocate to Dubai is not worth the effort, in my opinion. There's a lot of admin, there's a lot of time it takes, there's fees, there's all sorts of stuff you need to go through. And number 5, older individuals who are looking for community, love, and a balanced life. I know as you get older, presumably, again, I'm 24, I don't know this for sure, but from what I hear from other people and what I expect for myself is that my priorities will change as I get older. And the hustle grind culture of my early 20s is going to move over to more like enjoying my life and having good experiences with my friends and finding love and having a family, these kind of things. If you want that, Dubai is not the place to do it. So older people generally probably shouldn't bother. And finally, number 6, you shouldn't move to Dubai if you're expecting it to solve all your problems. It's actually probably going to make them worse in the short term, and you'll be forced to confront them in a way that they kind of amplify by going to Dubai. I feel like money just amplifies your negative traits, and so you'll have an opportunity based off that to work through them and become a better person and come out the other side better, or you'll get chewed up and spit out by the place and end up worse than you came in. And there's actually one more thing that I probably should have added to the pros, And I'm actually really grateful for Dubai for this. And that's that it forced me to kind of a loss of innocence for me to some degree, but it forced me to get face to face with the ugliest parts of society and materialism and wealth, and how my life could look if I wasn't careful and didn't make more deliberate steps to make sure I went down the right path. So I'm talking about being at nightclubs and bars and beach clubs and seeing these men in their 40s or even 50s hitting on these young women and doing just like making an absolute fool of themselves. And I remember looking at that and just being like, man, if I am there in 15 years, or I guess how long is it going to be, 20, 25 years, I've done something seriously wrong. I've majorly fucked up if that's what I look like in the next 20 years. So I was able to get some really good negative role models that I was able to see and say, that's who I don't want to be. And I think that, if anything, was one of the most valuable things I got out of Dubai, was seeing where I didn't want to end up. And I think that's very important for people to have both positive and negative role models. So it's definitely made me better in a number of ways, but personally, I am looking at moving out of Dubai in the near future. I think I've done my dash there, as are a lot of my friends, but I think that's just, you come for a year or 2 or 3 and you do your dash, you do your work, and you get the result you want out of it, and then you're free to move on. That's kind of how the place goes from what I've seen. So Dubai's a great place, and I highly recommend some of you visit, check it out, maybe move there if it suits you. So that's all for this video. If you're interested in learning more about how I make my money with the businesses that I run, I'll put a video up here that will kind of introduce you to all that. I do some pretty cool stuff in the AI space. This might be shown to people who are outside my core audience. So yeah, that's been all. I'll see you in the next one.